Hello and welcome to the Tinkercards video gallery. Today I'm going to show you how to do embossing using a stencil. Heat embossing we're talking about. We're not going to use embossing paste. But you're still getting a slightly raised effect, and we're also going to put some shimmer onto the embossing, the heat embossing. Okay, so this is the card we're going to make. I'm going to show you how to do. And I'm just trying to move it slightly. Can you see that shimmer? And that's what we're going to achieve in today's tutorial. And I'm going to use the new stencils, which thankfully came through the post this morning, and I was so excited. I initially planned to do something completely different, but I had to play with them. And I'm going to use the Leaf Prints. It's the ARTplorations sorry, let's do this again. It's the ARTplorations Stencils by Stamplorations. And I'm going to use two sentiments. The friend comes from the Sugar Rush set, which is this big one, and it's the current Stamp Club set. That's still in January Stamp Club set. And then we are also having the other sentiment, the Hello, from the Box Blooms. I've already taken them out, so it's not on here. So you've got like 4 nice blossoms and loads of sentiments. Very versatile set, as always. You can really put them through your paces, and you can always come up with something new. Now what I've done here is I've already attached my piece of pink card to my stencil, and I got some low tack masking tape, and I tried to center it, and actually attached it to the reverse of the stencil rather than trying to tack the stencil to my scrap paper. And because it does fix the card more securely to your stencil, and then I don't have to turn the whole caboodle, and I just turn the stencil as I go along. I'm just going to use a clear watermark, Versacolor, whatever, Versamark, whichever other things. I don't even know which brand mine is. It's just a clear watermark pigment ink pad. And what I'll do is I'll just rub it across the whole of the stencil and the card, trying to get the ink to press down into my cardstock. And I think it's best done if you try and do it from a couple of directions to cover yourself, really, because sometimes if you do some blending with a stencil, it's to get into the corners as well as possible. It's quite often it's best to change direction a little bit. So I've done one, so let's do this side as well, coming down. And then let's just do it across as well. Okay, now this is where I'm going to put my ink pad to one side. Right, and I've removed the stencil. So as you can see, you can quite clearly see where the ink has gone. So I'm just quite careful that I'm not going to get any fingerprint marks on there. Just put my stencil to one side, and I'm going to take the scrap paper off in a minute as well, because that will have some clear pigment ink on, and I don't want my well, it's just simply I want the embossing powder to just go on my piece of card and not on my paper too. So I've got another piece of scrap paper which I've previously used, so let's just sprinkle the clear embossing powder across here. Okay, so then I just pick it up and swirl it across a little bit. There you go. When I pick it up, I'll try and get in between where there is no pattern So you could use some tweezers. Now this is relatively clean, so it's just got a little bit here which I want to get off. I always have a brush at hand when I do some embossing to just take little bits off. So I'll just give that a little dab. So that's coming off there, and that's it. So I'm just going to pop this down for a moment whilst I'm going to put my embossing powder away, because when I get the heat gun out, I don't want it, my heat tool out, I don't want it to go all over the place. I'll just pick this up quickly and pop it away. Yeah, I always tend to use the brush as well to sort of brush it off the paper a bit. Okay, so that's gone. And the lid on, so it stays in there and I'm not going to accidentally knock it over. Right. So next I'm going to emboss my panel here, and I'm going to hold it with tweezers. That's the best way to get a grip on it and still get your fingers away from the heat too. I'm going to copy a tip from, I'm going to utilize a tip from Cornelia here, which is basically I use my heat tool underneath the panel to emboss, and that doesn't blow your embossing powder all over the place. It leaves it pretty much in situ. This is going to take a little while now. Almost done, not that much longer to go. Okay, that's it. So I'm going to turn this off now, and then I'm getting Perfect Pearls out, and these are just the colors that I got. I don't have many of them, I only got these 4, and then I'm just going to get in my other brush, not the one for my embossing, that needs to go away, and I'm just picking up a little bit of Perfect Pearls and just rub it into my embossing, and do it randomly because I'll just be using some other colors too, so I'm not too bothered where the shimmer is. So that's the lightest color, and then I got some golden color here, and just pop, I was going to pop that in the center pretty much to get a bit of gold going. I don't know, at the moment I seem to be very much into gold. I love my gold spritzing ink, and I just want shimmer. I'll just pop a little bit somewhere there, just sort of randomly wherever you feel like that you want your colours to go, really. They do blend together anyway later as well, because I've got going to get a darker pink out now. And I'm going to blend that sort of in between a little and around the edges. That sort of adds some depth really, because it's sort of a shade darker than anything else that is there. So I think I'll leave it at that. That's pretty much enough. Doesn't take that long. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the heat tool out, and I'm going to heat set the perfect pearls into my embossing powder. And this time I'm just going to leave it on my desk. I'm not going to pick it up and do it underneath. Just a little bit. So that should be enough. You're not after the whole powder, all of the powder melting again. All you need to do is sort of get it slightly warm at the top, and then that sort of allows the pigment, the perfect pearls pigment, to go in. And then you use a dried tissue, dried baby wipe. I just got a dried baby wipe here, and what you do is you rub across, and that takes any leftover perfect pearl off, and you're left with a really lovely shimmer inside your embossing. So I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. And it really is, it's very subtle, the way it sort of shines, and it's really lovely. It should look really good on a black card, but I didn't feel like using black today. I just wanted something a bit more, a bit brighter, a bit more cheerful than black, to be honest. Sometimes I think one can go a bit overboard with black if one wants to sort of show off certain colours or something. So I'm just getting rid of a bit of the perfect pearls here. So that's that. Okay. So next what we are going to do, and this is what I've already done, I've already embossed my sentiment on a strip of vellum. Now I've got really thin vellum paper here, so it would probably be better using something like a bit of a vellum card. And it sort of curls up a bit at the edges, I'm afraid. So what I want to do is this here. I think what I might do is I just pop a tiny dot of something behind my hello. I've got something here which I can pop behind, so it will keep it in place. And it's got, I've had these for ages. They're sort of frosted photo splits from Creative Memories. Blimey, they're not selling in the UK anymore. I've had these for about 7 years or so. Hardly used, of course. So that it's just like a little sort of like gluey type of thing that you can use, and that you can cut them down. So I'm just going to pop a couple of bits behind the hello, sort of in places where you wouldn't see them. Because last time when I did do the when I did the demo card, it did move, and the panel is on slightly wonky, and I'm too much of a perfectionist for that. I do not like that sort of stuff, I'm afraid. So if I do this, and I think another one, no, these two are okay. I'll just pop this here. Right. So if I take these off, these are repositionable, which is quite good, because if I get it slightly wonky, I can always lift it up. So I do like to go by sort of just roughly at this point rather than measuring. That's it, that's where I want it to be. And I tuck it down here. So, and then all I need to do is turn this over. And pop a couple of bits of double-sided tape on. Right, let's get these up. Let's put one here. And one here. And then taking this off, of course. And this is where I want it really to go flat across. So I'm going to really sort of come in and just quite sharply bend it round and stick it down. Right, this needs trimming off now. There we go. And then the next one. So I'm going to make sure that it's quite flat against my paper here. And just bend it over. There we go. That should be it. Yeah, that is a little bit better than the other one, but this one here didn't curl as much. That one I was trying to emboss it slightly differently, and it didn't work that well, so it was a bit more curly than this. So with the vellum, what I found is actually you cannot do the embossing from underneath. You have to do it from on top, and do it, especially when it's so thin, do it on your workspace, because otherwise your vellum will just bend all over the place. And then it ends up being a little curly. So just quickly pop some double-sided tape on. So that's this. And then all I have to do now is get my base card. Right, take this quickly off, and so the ones of you who watch more regularly, they know that I always tend to bend my sticky tape over and only take it down half. That helps me to align my piece, my topper on my base card. So let's pop that round here, and then I'll align it at the bottom usually. See that I'm getting a nice spacing, and it should usually do that at the top pretty much too. So let's see, that looks okay, and there we go. And then I just pull the one in the middle out first, and then the ones to the side, and it's relatively central. So we got sequins, and I did attach them with glue dots rather than glue them on, because the vellum tends to go curly when you put glue with it. So I've got some Stampin' Up mini glue dots here. Where are my tweezers gone? Here we go. And of course you can use anything you want. I might just try and pop some, do these slightly differently. I always sort of tend to move my bits around on the card first to position them where I want them to. I quite like that actually down here, so I'll go for that again. So I'm sort of doing something a bit similar to what I had actually. So let's just do that. Oops, there's another one underneath. Pick it up, pop it on my glue dot. This is where the static comes in and anything just sticks to you. Right, try again. Right, press it on my glue dot and then lift it off and just place it. There we go. And same for this one here. Next one on the glue dot is about here. And on the glue dot, I mean, of course you could sort of put some ribbon in or some twine around it, but I do like the simplicity of this, and I think it brings out the shimmery aspect just a little more. Let's do that here. And then I need just this one here. Last one. And where am I going to pop that? I can pop it here. Just so it's slightly different in arrangement. Okay. So that's my card done. And that's basically how you can use your stencils to do some nice and pretty embossing. So this one will be on my Tinker Cards post, but it will also be the spotlight feature of the 22nd actually of January at Stamplorations. Okay, well, thank you for watching and have a lovely day. Bye.